How did he not die? Okay, now this time. What the fuck? Oh my god, I missed again. If you're experiencing struggles with where to hit your enemies, this video is perfect for you. Since the last video of a similar format did so well, go check it out if you haven't yet, I have decided to make a small series of guide videos on weak spots for all the tanks in the game, or at least all I could lay my hands upon. We will start off with Tier 1 going all the way up to Tier 9. The current highest playable tier. So to start things off, let's get some basic knowledge clear. The armor of a tank depends on its original thickness, but also the angle at which you face it. The thicker the armor and the greater the angle, the smaller is the probability of penetration. The same obviously goes vice versa. Whenever you try to penetrate a tank, it is important to load the correct shell. For example, trying to frontally penetrate a Sherman with a miniature HE shell will most definitely not work. However, if you try the same with a decent AP shell, depending on other small factors, it will penetrate and do damage with a higher probability. By the way, I recommend always loading at least 15 to 20 AP shells. We will come to their variations in a minute. And 2 to 3 high explosive shells in case you meet a lightly armoured vehicle. Going back to AP shells, there are a few different variations. Usually their main difference is having an explosive fuse, or just literally being a piece of metal or a slug in short. I recommend using those with a little shrapnel crown on top of them whenever you have the chance. If there are multiple of this sort, choose the one with the highest penetration stat. Now that we have the background information, let's use it on practice. Starting with the Shermans will be perfect for this experiment. It will be your most common enemy on this tier. I recommend hitting it either through the center of the front plate if you're aiming for the crew, or this spot down here. Under the turret, that's where they most likely will have an ammo rack. Now let's discuss the T-34. This tank has a very strong frontal plate. I recommend aiming for its turret cheeks, although they might become difficult to hit if the enemy starts violently moving the turret. Some people might recommend trying to aim for the driver's hatch, but I wouldn't. First off, the guns on the first 2 tiers have the precision like that of a stream of urine in the morning, and second off, they barely penetrate anything. Turret cheeks are your best bet on this one. Next up are the German Panzers. These should not really be a problem. They have overall weak armor, even up front. The ammo lies in the frontal left part of the tank, although it may vary depending on the tank model. These might have a bit of a higher base penetration stat, but usually the intellect of the players using them negates all the positive aspects. Now that we have your usual enemies out of the list, let's move off to the extremes. The KV-2 will be a nightmare to deal with. In this tier, you will encounter this tank a lot. It's the cheapest premium platoon in the game and usually the first one for people to buy. Here we have a wild KV-2 that escaped its enclosure. Let's give it some rest. First, I'd recommend getting into the nearest cover. While we're discussing this, comment if I should make a video on positioning and strategy, as one hit from the Soviet fridge on wheels will have you in the grave within seconds. Your second step is to bait them to shoot and, best case scenario, miss. Then you have all the time in the world, approximately 20 seconds, to look for the weak spot and hit it. You may first immobilize the enemy to get a better shot. If you land it, woo, congratulations, consider yourself lucky. How about we discuss the KV-1 while we're at it? This thing has no obvious weak spots. I'll be honest, I don't think it's possible to penetrate it frontally with the guns of the first tier. I'd recommend either trying to flank it if your tank is quick enough, or break their track and run away. Honestly, running away is the best way to keep yourself alive and might sometimes be the best decision you can make. So don't be ashamed to turn around and flee if you can't take on an enemy. The British tanks are probably the weakest in this tier, and yes, I can already hear the British mains crying in the comments, but let's be real, these things have nothing they can stand out with. Neither with armor, nor with mobility or firepower. If you were wondering, their ammo racks may be annoying to hit, as they lay in this section right here, but the armor is so weak that you can consistently penetrate them anywhere. And on top of this, they can only use slugs for AP shells. Just a disgrace of a platoon. The Japanese platoon is a little more interesting, however. They may not have much armor, but they sure can pack a punch. Just look at this barrel. What a beauty. Although the reload might be a little long, these will do well as support vehicles, as they also have decent mobility and the ability to outflank the enemy. Overall, a well-balanced platoon. The ammo rack usually lies below the turret and in the back of it, like on this one. At the very end, we have AAs. You will meet them a lot more rarely than other tanks, but they might be annoying to deal with. Usually their armor's too weak to cause your AP shell's fuse to go off and explode, like you may usually see on your penetration cams, and it's even worse if you're using solid slugs. If you want a quick kill, land the AP shell into their turret, and if they are still alive, load one of the HE shells I told you about earlier. This will most definitely annihilate their crew. So, summing up Tier 1 and 2, if you want a consistent one-shot kill, making a side shot into this spot right here will most definitely guarantee it, be it by killing the crew with shrapnel or hitting an ammo rack usually located below the turret. If you have any leftover questions, feel free to ask them below. I'll try my best to answer all of them. Part 2 for the 3rd and 4th tiers will be coming soon. Also, if you're still here, go check out this video about how to consistently destroy enemies with high explosive. Who knows, maybe you will learn something new. Anyways, as always, leave a like and subscribe. See you next time.